So welcome again to our New Acropolis event of the Decisive Moment. I'm glad to see there's so much interest in this event. I'm glad to see so many faces. This is really an international event. We have people here from all over the US, from Canada, from the UK, from India, from Israel, of course. And maybe I've missed some countries, but I think we really are an international event. So this is very joyful and pleasing to see everybody. So for those who are here for the first time, I would like to say a few words about New Acropolis and about myself a little bit. So my name is Gilad Sommer. You can call me Gil. I'm a student and a teacher in this school called New Acropolis. I've been a part of this school for the last, I would say 17 years, something like that. I started in Israel and I moved to Chicago about 7 years ago to develop the school here in Chicago. A little bit about what is New Acropolis for those of you who are not familiar with New Acropolis and the first time being here. New Acropolis is an international organization that integrates the practice of philosophy with culture and volunteering. We see philosophy not as a theoretical or intellectual pursuit, but really as a way of life. As a method, as a path to improve, to better ourselves as individuals, and as a result, hopefully, also as a society. It's quite difficult to explain what is New Acropolis actually in a few words, but if you are interested in more information at the end of this event, I am here. We have also other representatives here from the school. We have Michelle here, you can raise your hand. And we have Shira as well, and Leopoldo. And you're welcome to chat with us at the end of the event if you want to stay a little bit also to ask some questions. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Well, we're very happy today because we have a very special guest, Pierre Poulain. Pierre is a FIFO, a philosopher, photographer. He is originally from France, as you can guess by his name, but he moved to Israel a little bit less than 35 years ago to establish the School of New Acropolis in Israel. That's where I got to know him. And he, through his books and lectures and his exhibitions all around the world, he tries to integrate, I think successfully, between philosophy as the love of wisdom and photography or art as the love of beauty. And this is also personally a very special event for me because Pierre has been a teacher, a guide for me on the philosophical path for the last 15 years or so. And we always wanted to bring him here physically to Chicago. We weren't able to do that, but at least if Pierre can't come to Chicago, we'll bring Chicago to Pierre. And apparently not just Chicago. So we're very happy to have you here, Pierre. And before we start with the presentation, a few technical instructions. So the first hour, more or less, Pierre will have a presentation for us. And if you have questions that come up during the presentation, please write them down in the chat. And after the presentation, we will present these questions. Shira will go over these questions in the chat and we'll present these questions to Pierre simply because we recognize that in this setting of Zoom, it's difficult to do a presentations and questions and answers at the same time. So we sort of put the discussion at the end. So please feel free to put in the chat whatever questions that may come up. And if something comes up at the end, and we still have time after all the questions in the chat have been presented, then we will have time to really have a dialogue. So apart from that, just keep your mic on mute. And without further ado, I will pass the mic to Pierre. Thank you, Pierre.
Thank you, Gilad. And welcome, everybody. I'm happy to be in Chicago. So there is something good with the COVID-19, because I think that without COVID-19, I would not have the chance, the opportunity to meet you. And I think I found who I need for my personal public relation. I don't need now to look for somebody else, Gilad, because what's the way you talk about me, that's it. Anyway, I hope you will understand my English also. If not, Shira and Gilad will help you to understand, to translate. Because I have to speak, you know, I have a French accent, which is not really French after 35 years in Israel, but it's not an Israeli accent. So it's something undefined, which is quite good, because we are going to talk about intuition, and it helps, you know, not to have things too much defined here. So we'll try. So a few words very quickly about my my travel, let's say, my way. Like Gilad said before beginning, I'm well, he said FIFO. I prefer, it's the same concept, but I prefer the name of PhotoSophy. I think it's give more sense, more understanding than FIFO. And PhotoSophy is photograph, philosoph, or philosoph, photograph. I mean, conjunction between photography and philosophy. I began with the photography. I began in 1976, when I was 20 years old. So now you know my age, in Paris. And I was just, you know, I was in love with photography. I just got an old Pentax MX camera. And I was just walking the streets in Paris with this camera and take some pictures. So it was not really pictures of people, because it's a process, you know, to approach people in the street, to get close to them. So at the first time I took pictures of the street, empty streets usually, with nobody to look at me. And I was processing those pictures in the bathroom of my parents' house. They were not so happy about it, but, you know, I began this way. And I came really in love with this, this art of photography, this project of photography, but I didn't really know how or why. I was just, you know, it was great to do, it was interesting, but I didn't think a lot about this. And I discovered the philosophy, more or less, well, not more or less, exactly in 79. I joined a New Acropolis in Paris. And I continued to make a little bit of pictures of photography in Paris a few years. And slowly the philosophy took more space, more importance in my life. And when I arrived in Israel, I migrated in Israel in '86, I just, I could not continue with photography, because I had to learn the Hebrew, I had to learn the culture, which is quite different from the French culture. I had to find a job, I had to do a lot of things. And well, I gave my camera to somebody else, one of the first students, which is now the national director of New Acropolis in Mumbai. But he sold the camera because he needed money. So now I don't know where is this camera, but it's okay. And, you know, I put the photography aside and I began my travel in philosophy until 2008, which is 22 years after I arrived in Israel. So I made a break of 22 years. And in 2008, I came back to photography. But this time, totally different. I came back to photography with the philosophical background. And this changed everything, totally. Because this time, from this time, I began to use photography as a tool to transmit the meaning of philosophy, the meaning of life. I think there is somebody, microphone open, because I hear from time to time a ring. I don't know if you hear it. Maybe it's my ears that rings, but check everybody if you have the microphone off. And from this combination between photography and philosophy was born this concept of PhotoSophia. What is really PhotoSophia? PhotoSophia as union of photography and philosophy. It is a work in process. It's not a non-ending work, like the never-ending story. There was a first exhibition in Israel about 2 years ago about PhotoSophia. There was a book. There is a book, and now there is another exhibition, and every time there is new text and a new photo. I try to present one photo and to present the text. So the photo is from the photographic work, the text is from the philosophical work, and they're working together. But it's like two languages together. I mean, the text is not here to describe the photography, and the photo is not here to illustrate the meaning of the text. It's two different things which create a dialogue together. And to do this, to improve this work of PhotoSophia, the base, let's say that the base of this work of PhotoSophia is very much about the title of this lecture today, or presentation, the decisive moment. And you need to work with intuition, but we shall need also to define what is intuition. So, like Gilad say, without further, how do you say in English? Without further ado, something like this? I don't know what does it mean, but I've heard it.
Nobody knows what it means.
Nobody knows what this means, but everybody uses it. So let's begin the presentation. I make share screen. Okay. I use the desktop. I make share, something like this. So now you see my desktop. And if I do this, you see a gray screen. That's right? Good. You see, you need a lot of intuition to see the pictures. This is the meaning of the gray screen. So this is the first one. This is, I will present something like 13, 14, I don't remember exactly, photo, not a lot, but I will explain each photography, each image, and each one has a meaning. So we will talk about the meaning also. So this one, I chose to begin with this one because the title of this image is exactly the title of this lecture, which is The Decisive Moment. So what is it? It is in Bombay, to locate it, in India, and in a slum. I mean, a city where poor people are living. What you see here is one of the main streets in the slum. I mean, you can see the distance between one wall and the other wall. This is the street. I think that in the States, in Los Angeles, in some places, you have larger streets. I never went to the States, but I think that you have something else. And I was just, coming in the slum, in the street, and those three guys, you see my pointer? I don't know if you see it. Yes, okay. Those one look at me, and they asked me to take them pictures. Well, they didn't ask with word because they speak Hindi. I'm not speaking Hindi yet. But they look at me, they wanted me to explain me that they wanted me to take the pictures. And the first one, the little guy, this one, was just in the middle, but they didn't pay attention to him. And I was interested by this one, which has a little, very strange face and with his milk here. And he has two, if you pay attention, there's 2 points, one black point, one white point. It's quite strange. It's something you don't know exactly. It's a nice scene. And what is interesting that they were pursued, that I was making the focus on them, but in reality, the focus was on this guy. So they didn't know it. And at the moment I press to take the picture. I don't know how you say it, to press the click to say in English. And this guy, which is maybe his father, maybe his brother, I don't know exactly, maybe an uncle, somebody from the family, see that those three guys, what happened here? See those three guys are here. He thinks that the little one is disturbs me because like he's between me, the camera, and the street in the back. So he comes to take him off, to take him out of the street, so I can take the picture of the street on the back. And it's just 1 second, because when I began, the uncle or the father was not there. At the moment that I press, to take the photo of the picture of the camera, he appears, and everything appears in a second. You could not, there was no possibility to program this, to analyze this and to say, okay, I will wait 1 second, 2 seconds, so this guy will come, and at the moment I will take the pictures. It was in a glance, in a moment. So it's a decisive moment. And the decisive moment is a concept which is quite famous today, but it began with a famous French photographer. It's not because he's French, he was just appeared that he was French. He's dead today. He was Henri Cartier-Bresson, one of the most famous street photographer from the last century. And he had a book in French, which was called the Image à la Sauvette. I don't know how to translate Image à la Sauvette. I know there are some Canadians that can understand this. Image, that you take in a glance, let's say, something like this. It was the title of his book in French. And when the book was edited and published in the United States, they changed the title and they called it The Decisive Moment. So the name stayed and became famous, The Decisive Moment. And it was at the first moment for one of his most famous pictures, which is called Place de l'Europe, which is square of Europe in Paris. And it's just a picture of somebody which is jumping over a pound of water, some little small flake of water, something of water. And he took the picture when the guy is in the air. But it was in 1932. So in 1932, it was quite extraordinary because the camera, was so much different than when we have today. We have some technical possibility that didn't exist at the time. So it made him famous. And from there, began this concept of decisive moment. So people ask him all the time, how did you do this? How could you take the picture exactly at the moment with the guy in the air? He's just jumping and none of his feet are in the ground. And he never wanted to answer. He never answered. Only 2 years before his death, he said, okay, to a journalist, he said, okay, I will tell you. I was passing in the street and there was a wall with a hole in the wall. So he looked on the wall, he didn't see the guy, he saw the water and some tools. He said, oh, it's interesting. So he took his camera, he put the camera in the hole, and he pressed the shutter. The shutter, that's the name. He pressed the shutter, and he took the picture. He didn't look, he didn't see the guy. He didn't know even that there's a guy in the air. When he received back from the laboratory, the pictures, he saw the guy. And this became the most famous pictures of all his photography work. You can see it in quite an exhibition and museum, these pictures. So the guy who said, but you didn't see it. And he said, no, I didn't see it. So what is it about? How could you take this? And Henri Cartier-Bresson said, there is a secret. The secret is that you need not to want anything. Just, let go. Do not try to want something. Do not search for the fruit. Do not search for the product. There is a text from Indian tradition, which is called the Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit, who said that you have right to the action, only to the action, not to the result of the action. And it's the same. You don't want the result, but you want to do the right action in a way, to let go. Let go the will, the desire to receive the result. Just do what is right to do. This is what matters. It does not matter if you have this result or if you have another result. So you need also to take this kind of pictures, like this one that you see now in the screen, Decisive Moment. You need to be disponible, to be mentally disponible. I mean, really not to want anything. Why? Because if you are not disponible, if you want something very precise, something specific, so you're not looking at all the things, and suddenly you have a scene like this one. Something appears, it's fantastic, but you are so obsessed by something else because you want something else, you don't recognize this, so you will not press the shutter. So you need to be disponible. I will not say the mind in white, because it's not thinking about nothing, no, but disponibility, mental disponibility, and not to control, to be in control. Let you penetrated by the intuition. Let the intuition come to you. Do not close your mind, do not close your mind with a kind of, I want to be in control, I want to know what I will take. Let the life surprise yourself, because also when I took these pictures, I didn't know it was exactly like this. It really happened in a glance, clack. And I discovered this, not at the moment. I discovered this on my screen when I came back from India to Israel. And when I look at the screen, I say, oh, this is a great pictures. But the pictures came to me. It's not I who came to the pictures. The intuition is something who has to come from external to you, to the inside, from the external to the inside, and not from the inside to the external. There is a big difference. If you make a space inside your mind, so you can let what is in the real, what is in the street, what is in life come to you, and you capture it. So you let the globality come to the individuality. It's like, the relation between the drop, you are the drop, and life is the ocean. So you let the ocean come to the drop. This is imagination. But if you come from yourself, from the drop to the ocean, it's fantasy. Because it's like fantasia, fantasy, I don't know how you say in English, but you understand what I mean. It's like, I want this, I like this, I need this, I will project this to the whole ocean. I mean, what is good for me is good for the humanity. No, it's the other way. What is good for the humanity is good for me. Why? Because I am part of the humanity. But the humanity is not part of me. It's different. The humanity is much more bigger, larger, wider than me. So I cannot say, I like this, everybody would need, it would be right for everybody to love this or to like this. But I can say, there is something in the globality of life. There is something in the globality of the universe, so I can capture this. This is to imagination, intuition, imagination and intuition, power of intuition. And this is fantasy. Okay? So that was the first one. The second one is called the power of illusions. Because if you see, this was in Dublin, in Ireland, in Dublin. On a wall, there was an advertisement, a poster, a big poster on the wall, with some people, sports people, basketball, there was maybe a singer, I don't know, different kind of people. And one in the middle, this guy here, where is it here, is not from the poster. He's from the street. And he just, on the wall. But when you pass, and because the photography also makes 3 dimensions in 2 dimensions, at the first glance, it's difficult to recognize that, okay, there is a difference between let's say, printed people on the poster and real people, which is on the street. So you have to go over the appearance, over the first glance, over what you can see and analyze with the first look, because things are not usually like we think they are. At the first glance, you think, okay, it's the same, but it's not the same. You have to go more more deeper. You have to look deeper in the reality and inside you. For me, it's like, you know, there is also a concept in the Tibetan philosophy, which is called about the voices of Mara. Mara is like all the, you know, all the noises, all those voices, all the noises around us, and the noises, the voices outside on the street. In big cities, we have a lot of noise, but also inside ourselves, we have a lot of noises, you know, all what we desires, or our frustrations, or a lot of noises. But which noise, which voice shall I follow? And I have to, you know, to make a break. I have to stop this noise, like to stop the time, and to extract from all those noises the one noise, the one real noise, and not the illusions. So now here it's like to say an analogy. The real noise is the real guy, and the other one is illusion because it's printed. But I cannot see this at the first glance. So I have to stop the time, to stop the movement. It's like meditation. It's like internal work, you know, internal reflection on ourselves. And photography is a fantastic tool for this because it stops, you know, the time. You take one picture, and after you have all the time in the world to look at these pictures. So it did stop it for you. And you can make this work of differentiation because between all those little noises, voices, and the one voice, which is your voice. It is a great challenge, I think, today for the new generation, because the new generation is very social network, zapping, I don't know how do you say in English, switching, time is, you know, there is no stopping of the time. And there is a recommendation for movies, something it's not. So let's say, what's important here is that the real is always different and beyond and deeper than the appearance. Appearance. Now, what is appearance? We all have our opinions, and it's okay, no problem with this. Everyone can have his opinion, and I think that everyone must have his opinion because we all have a personality, a different personality. It's good to have opinion, and it's okay that it's not the same opinion, you know. You can have usually 10 people, 10 different opinions, no problem. In Israel, we say that if you have 10 Jewish Israeli people, you have 100 opinions. But that's it. This is Jewish, you know. I believe that in United States, we have 10 people, 10 opinions. It's already enough. But we can have many opinions. We still share the same reality. And the reality is one. We just filter it differently. Everyone is his own filter, but it's the same reality. We are living on the same planet. We are living in the same universe. We are living at the same moment in time. So we understand, we filter, we capture, we analyze, we relate to the reality in different way, no problem. But we should understand that we share also one reality. Like, for example, like I said before, we are every one of us drops from the ocean. So we are different drops. We have different paths, every one of us. But it's one ocean, like one humanity. We belong, all of us, to the same one humanity. So here I will say that the most important is not to wipe the different opinions. We have to keep the different opinions. But we have to recognize that those are only opinions, and that beyond those opinions, there is one big reality, which includes all the opinions without rejecting none of them. This one is called the bench. I believe that you can understand why. In fact, there is two benches. The first one here with two people on the bench, and another one here, which is empty. I like this very much, this photo. It was from Czech Republic. It's not Prague, it's another city. I don't remember at the moment the name of the city. It was a small city in Czech Republic. And for me, it's like a mirror, you know, because you have those two here sitting on the bench, and a mirror here of the same bench, which is a reflection of this one, but with a big difference. This one is empty. And here those two guys are sitting on the bench. So it's like the idea, the concept of taking a picture of the invisible. Because here you have the visible, and here you have the invisible. The invisible is the white bench. Saint-Exupéry, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, which is another French famous people. It's French, it's already two French people. No, it's maybe because, you know, I'm reading a lot of French books and I have a French culture. So what shall we do? And anyway, Saint-Exupéry is known also worldwide, and in the States and in Canada, and I believe in Chicago. He wrote the book, The Little Prince. You say like this, The Little Prince. Or the small, no, the little Prince. And in this book, he says he wrote in a moment, the invisible is the essential, what matters the most, you know, the essential is invisible to the eyes. And it is this, what matters is not only the visible, what matters is the principle, the concept, the invisible, which is always the source of the visibles. Like, you know, for me, it's like those two here are alive, and here we don't see them because it's like life and death. But who comes from the first one, you know? Life is coming from death, death is coming from life. A lot of culture are thinking about reincarnations, and it's what the cycles of life and death. It's like day and night. Which come the first one? The day of the night from the day, or the day from the night, the morning from the winter from the summer, or the summer from the winter. Everything is cycle, or inspiration, expiration, you know? This is the movement of life. So visible, invisible, life and death. And it creates a paradoxal situation. You say paradoxal in English? I'm very good in English. At the end, I will give some classes, I think.
Paradoxical.
Paradoxical. So what do you say yes when I say paradoxal and I make an error? You have to tell me when I am wrong, because if I don't know when I am wrong, how shall I improve myself? You know? You have to tell me. So, paradoxical situation. And a paradox, but you say a paradox. Yeah, okay, good. So a paradox is very important because a paradox can give a meaning. Because the paradox creates a tension. What is a paradox? A paradox is, you know, when you're looking, for example, at a photography, an image, and everything is absolutely clear, simple. You can understand everything at the first glance. There is no enigma. There is no question. You look, you understand. Okay. So, I don't know how to say this in English. I mean, what matters? Why?
What's the point?
What the point? Thank you. What the point? It's not interesting. I've looked, I understood. I don't have to make no inquiry at all. So I go. Now, you have some other kind of art like this, you know, that you look at something, you don't understand nothing. And you don't understand nothing because usually there is nothing to understand. It's not just modern art, just sometimes you have things like this. And so what's the point? The same thing. So if you understand everything there is no tension. If you understand nothing and there is nothing to understand, there is no tension. But if there is something that you understand, you can recognize, and something that you don't really understand, you create a tension with the image. The image, the song, the sculpture, what you want. You create a tension. And in this tension, you have a question. And it forces you to ask you something. And it forces you to find the answer. But the answer is not the opinion of the artist. The answer is inside yourself. So something which creates tension, which is a paradoxical situation, create a tension and oblige you to find the answer to the question which is provoked by the art. This is great. This is the meaning of art. This is something where, okay, you propose a photo, an image, again, a song, a dance, a theater, it can be any kind of art. And you begin to build an interaction with the people, but you don't give the answer, you give the question. You know, in philosophy, we say that wisdom, you cannot teach wisdom. You cannot. Because wisdom belong. Wisdom belongs to everyone. Everyone has this, but not everyone uses it. Not everyone is conscious of it. So heart is like a trigger, you know? You awake something, you awake the question. With the question, you trigger this, and everyone can begin to awake the wisdom inside, so everyone will find the answer. So don't give the answer, give the question. It's much more important to ask question to people you want to educate, for example, you want to help. Ask them the right question. If the questioner is right, they will find the right answer. Now, if you ask non-meaningful question, there will be also a non-meaningful answer. So we have to ask the right question. This is called the angel of the pyramid. It's not in Egypt, an Egyptian pyramid, it's the pyramid of the Louvre in Paris, in the Museum of the Louvre. It's just, you know, one of the guardian of the pyramid, which is checking security, something like this. And he's up, and all the people are down, okay, on the background, the ground, and he's looking something, he's looking at a book, or I don't know what exactly. But with the light, it seems like, you know, an angel. You don't see with the reflection here of the plastic, you don't see his body, and you don't see the detail of his face. So what I liked here is the work with black and white. If you paid attention, all my pictures are in black and white. I don't use colors. I'm only working with light and contrast. And in fact, for me, colors, I like also just like a kind of veil on the reality, because color sometimes can hide, and you have, for example, some very strong colors, so it will capture the attention. You will look at those colors, and those colors will distract you for what is essential. For me, I don't say it must be like this, okay? I don't say it must be like this. This is my opinion. We talked before of opinion. For me, the real is more in the geometry, the structure, the form. And I think like a philosopher of the photography, which is called Wilhelm Flusser, which is a German guy. He wrote a book which called For a Philosophy of Photography. And he said that he wrote that the photography in black and white are more real for him than the color photography. And I think the same. For me, it's exactly the same. Because of this geometry, this relation between forms and concept. If you want, you know, to bring one concept to one idea, you need to have the mental form, the right mental form, the right structure. When you have a certain shape, it can receive a certain concept. And if you change the shape, you change the concept.
Shape.
So, shape.
Shape. Yeah.
What I said, shape, no?
Almost.
Almost, okay. That's good. So, shape. And life, what is life? Life is movement. Life is relations between those movements. And this is the idea of this geometry, those shapes, like Gilad said, that will integrate those specific concepts. So, oh, this one, I love it. I called it to have or not to have. You can imagine to what it is related. You know, it's to have or not to have. It's not Shakespeare. It's not to be or not to be, because here it is not about to be. It is about to have. So it was in India. It's in the flowers market of the city of Bangalore in South India. And it's also a decisive moment, you know, the intuition. I have the intuition, clack, to take the photo. I was just passing through. I saw this, I took the camera, clack, I took the pictures. What do you have? You have, what do you show? You have like this. You have one guy here. He has a lot of things, material. He has a lot of flowers to sell. Yellow flowers. You need intuition to know that it is yellow flowers, but I know because I was there. So I can tell you it is yellow flowers. He has a lot of money. He's counting his money. And this guy has nothing. I don't know because he already sell or he didn't have nothing to sell. It's an enigma. You can interpret it like you want. But fact is that he has a lot, he has nothing. But this is on the material plan. Now look upstairs. What this one has? Nothing. On the shelf, shelf. How do you call this one in English?
Shelf.
Shelf. On the shelf, he has nothing, you know, empty. Just some bills and invoices here, something like this, you know. And this one, what does he has? The icons, the symbols of the god. Indra, no, this is Ganesha. Okay, a lot of gods here. So full spiritual, emptiness spiritual. But his emptiness material and a lot of material things. So you have material, spiritual. It's nice to have or not to have. Now the question is, which one has and which one does not have? You decide. You decide. Because if you identify with spirituality, you will say the one on the left has a lot. If you identify with the visible, the material, you will say the one on the right has a lot. So you decide like you want, you know, but it's to have or not to have. And it's another a good example of this concept of never want to do something, never want to reach a result. If I wanted to take them in photo, I could not reach the same result. And in reality, I tried, you know, this is the first photo. Because one fraction of second after this one, I took a second photo. I wanted to be sure, you know, it was wow. And the second one was different. Because this one didn't want that he saw the first one, he paid attention that I take the pictures. So the second one, he turned the, like this, okay. So he turned the head around. So I could not take him in pictures, the second one. And this one was counting this money, just put quickly the money in his pocket. So that I could not take the pocket, the money. I don't know what he's thinking about. So it was just one moment. It was one picture. So you need to be disponible, and I said, and something else that you need to be lucky. It's very important to be lucky. If you want to take good pictures, please learn to be lucky. Learn to have luck. How? It's your problem. I don't know. I cannot tell you. But you need to learn how to be lucky. And one way, which is something which is in relation with luck, is to trust yourself, to have trust in yourself. And so, because if you trust yourself, you will accept when luck arrives that, okay, it's a product of luck, it's important, it's something that you can use. If you don't trust yourself, you will begin with the mind, you know, think, but is it really, is it not, does it work, does it not work? Okay, it's gone, because I already saw you and they're not in the same situation. So you have to trust yourself and not to think, to take the pictures, and that's it. This one is called A Hole in the Sea. Well, it's not the sea, but it's like the sea, you know. It's in Marseille, in France, a city in the south of France, near the Mediterranean Sea. And here it's more a question of intuition than a decisive moment, because here it's not, you know, 1 second. I can wait a few seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, I still will have more or less the same photo. You don't have here people moving. It's, I am on the, how you say, agag in Hebrew.
The roof.
The roof. I am on the roof of the museum. The museum is a museum, the Museum of the Mediterranean Cultures in Marseille. I am on the roof of the museum, and I take the other part of the roof. And here there is at the first, there is like a hole like this. So the title I gave to this, like a hole in the sea, because this is like the sea. So what interests to me here with this photo is that you don't need to recognize. Don't try to recognize. Don't try to, when you take something, to recognize, to analyze what it is. Again, trust your own intuition so you will be able to capture this. It's the same thing, you know, when I took these pictures, I didn't know exactly what it will be. I didn't have this image in my mind, but something inside told me, wow, I can do something with this. It will be interesting. So I took the pictures. And really, it was interesting. Now, don't think that when I'm going outside with my camera, walking the streets, you know, I can go, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 hours walking in the city. Sadly, I don't do this in the last months because I'm with the corona. I have 6 travels abroad which were canceled. And I don't know when I will travel. Well, I'm traveling now in Chicago, but it's not exactly the same. I cannot go out after with the camera on the street. And where I live in Israel, it's like a village in the nature. So I can't go out, you know. I did this, you know. I took some sheeps. There's sheep outside. You say sheep? Sheep, like this.
Sheep, yeah.
I took some pictures, but how many photo of sheep you can take during 6 months, you know? So there is a limit. So now I'm working more on my archives in the computer. So anyway, when I took this photo, I didn't know what will be, but I had the intuition that it will be good. And like I said, don't think that I take a lot of photos. I can walk few hours outside. Maybe I come back with 25, 30, 35 photos from one whole day walking. Because I already know that most of the photos, there's nothing special. I remember when I began to take digital photographies, because it does not cost like the film. When I began to take digital photographies, I could go outside one day and come back with 400, 500. You know, tack, 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 like this. And you said after you will, you know, manage on the computer. But no, you need to not to take everything. You need to filter this, and you need to act only when there is a meaning, when you feel this meaning, when you have the intuition that something different will come from this photo. So it is what occurs with this one. And this one is the total opposite, because if the first one was no movement, here we have 2 people in movement, and one even is running. This one, the first one is running. This is in Seoul, in South Korea. I was just in the street passing, and this is in a shop, and it's the windows of the shop. They are inside the shop. I am in the street. Because of this, you have a little bit of a reflection. Yes? So, it's the reflection of the window. You have, you see the trees outside and something like this. And they are just getting inside to arrange the shop. They will put something, tools, I don't know what, things, so people will see what the shop is about. But at this moment, they were just running, and I call this modern time. That's the name of the image, because everyone is running, and you don't see the faces. You don't see the face of this one. You don't see the face of this one. The face is like the identity. It's like our identity. And it is the pure decisive moment, the exact moment when, clack, you capture two guys running without identity, without face. So it's really like the modern time, at least what for me symbolize sometimes the modernity. So to talk this, something like this, you don't have time. You don't have time to think. You don't have time to calculate. I cannot take my camera and say, wait, what is the light, the speed, where is the focus, how shall I? You need to take the camera and clap, do like this. Now, I'm not using the camera in automatic. I'm using only manual. I don't have automatic, it's not, I will explain you something. You know what this is? This is to make calls. It's not to make photography. It's called a smartphone. And I know that it has a camera, but I usually don't use it, only when I need to make a photo of a bill to send this to my account table. But I don't take pictures, there is something that everybody's talking about. It's called selfie. I don't know what it is, When I have to take a picture, I take a camera, not a telephone. Try to make a call with a camera. It doesn't work. So I try to take pictures with the camera and call with the telephone. So when you take the camera, it's not automatic. It's only manual. You have to control, to be in control. You have to know your tool. You have to learn the tool, the camera. And in 1 second, you see the light, you see what happened, you change the speed, you change the focus, you clack, and you take the pictures. And you don't have the time to look, to check. You have to know it, you have to integrate it. So it's a process of learning also. You have to know your camera, you have to know your lens, and you must limit yourself. This is fantastic, something that I discovered with photography. In my camera, which is on the shelf there, so I will not go to take it after if you want, I have one optic. People now are taking zoom optic and a lot of different optics. No, I have one. It's called 28 millimeter. The camera is a Leica Q2. I had before a Leica Q1, which was bought in Chicago with Gilad. Now I have the Q2. And there is one lens, 28 millimeter. That's it. I cannot change it. So people who understand a little bit in photography will know that 28 millimeters means, wow, I'm in the middle of the photo and nearly 1 hour. I go quickly. And people will know that in 28 millimeter, you cannot take photos from far away. It's not a teleobjective, okay? It's the opposite. I can take photos only, let's say, from 1.50 meter distance from myself to 5 meters. That's it. Maybe 6 meters. But more than this, I can't, because it's not wide, open lens, and I need to be close. So I need to approach the scene. I need to approach the people. And if I see something far away, I cannot take it. So I even don't look at it. So you can say, but you limit yourself. Yes, but it gives me more freedom. Why? Because when I had a Pentax with multiple lenses and zoom and etc., I was always like this, you know. I have a wide angle to take pictures close. And suddenly I see something 50 meters from here. Whoa, it's great, but I don't have the right lens. So I cannot take the picture. So I changed the lens, but it's gone. And after suddenly I see something 2 meters from me. Whoa, that's great, but I have the wrong lens. So I changed the lens, but it's gone. So if you want to do everything, at the end, you can't do anything. So if you limit yourself to one specific angle, kind of photography, you can control this because it's more limited. You can be in control and you can manifest yourself. You can express yourself. You can do something with this. You are not lost, you know, in this space. So when you limit yourself, when you know your camera, when you know your lens, you have more freedom. In reality, we think that more choice is more freedom. It's wrong. It is totally wrong. Freedom comes from the power to exercise our choice. Because if you have choice, but you don't choose, you keep all the choice, but you don't exercise your choice. You don't choose one lens. You keep all the lenses as a possibility. You don't exercise your identity. You don't exercise your choice. You don't do nothing with this. So you need to choose one, but once you have chosen, when you have took this lens and not another one, that's it. You don't have the choice anymore. You already exercise your choice. And now you are free to work with this. Now you are free to act with this. So you are free to choose, but choose. Don't keep the choice. Choose, take responsibility, take commitment to your choice, and go, live with your choice. Whatever the choice is, it's not a problem. The problem is to accept to choose and to be committed to the choice. So I try to go quicker, okay? Okay. This is called the girl in pink. It's obvious, no? It's a girl in pink. You know it. I don't know why. Sometimes people don't understand the concept of colors. Well, anyway, it's about beauty. For me, it's an example of beauty. So how it is beauty? Yes, okay, you can say that I try to show you with my finger on the screen, but you don't see it, so I have to use the mouse. So this girl is beautiful little girl, and this is also in Bombay, and it's quite a lot of not so, you know, beautiful. It's not clean. There is a lot of, I don't know how to say, avak.
Dust.
Dust, thank you. A lot of dust and the thing. So what is the beauty? The beauty is also in the relations. The beauty is in the shape. The beauty is in geometry. The beauty is in this little tension, paradoxical, like I said at the beginning, that this girl, that we don't need to see the face. We know that it's something beautiful, something round, something different in these geometrical things with dust in the middle of the street. I mean, for me, it's a way to explain the difference between what is beauty and what we like. It can be the same, but it does not have to be the same. We don't usually always like what is beautiful. Some people can like something which is not beautiful or awful. Some people cannot have the need to research beauty, but they can like something. You go in their place, in their house, sometimes you see something in the wall, and you ask yourself, why did they put this thing on the wall? You know, so okay, it's their right. They can like this if they want. It doesn't mean it is beautiful. And it doesn't mean also that what I like is beautiful. I mean, those two different things. What's important to understand is what motzechen, what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you like is something which belongs to the opinion. So it's subjective. Everybody can like something else. It's okay. It's good, no problem. But the beauty, what is beautiful, is an archetypal value. It's something universal. It's something objective, not subjective. And when you have something beautiful, which is made of beauty, it will emanate the beauty. And it doesn't belong to nobody because it belongs to everybody. It belongs to nature. This is something in relation with the traditional definition of art. Art is what transmits this archetypal of beauty. And who is the artist? The artist is somebody who makes this archetype of beauty visible. I mean, we find something, a way, a material way to transmit it through this material support, you know, to other people. It can be an image, like I said, it can be a sculpture, it can be a song, it can be a book, it can be a dance, it can be any kind of art. But art is this, through movements, through shapes, through material, transmit this archetypal of beauty. So how shall we know if something belongs to art or if something is just the produce of the subjectivity and the opinion of somebody? How shall you know if this picture or another picture I make, for example, is art, objective, or is only the product of my personality, my opinion, subjective? The answer is simple, you cannot know. Because time only will say. I mean, in time, if there is something subjective, and if people like this just because it corresponds to the criteria of fashion today, in 10 years, in 30 years, in 50 years, nobody will look at this. But if it's art, there is something universal, this is something objective. Why people continue to look at the Museum of Louvre in Paris, again French, to the Gioconda, Mona Lisa, okay? Even if it's not according to the way people are painting today, there is another fashion, another way, because there is something transcendent. It's not just about what was the criteria of the time of Da Vinci. It's something totally different. Art is something which stands in the proof of time, and you know, subjectivity is something which vanish with time. Now, I said that in 50 years from now, we shall recognize it, because if it's art, it will stay. With the actual state of the society, I'm not sure there will be somebody in 50 years to look at those things, but this is another lecture, another debate, and something else. Okay, so let's go. Another one, I have 4 more. This is called Encounter in the Museum. It is in the British Museum in London. And it's quite in relation with the previous one, because you have here archetypes, statues of Sekhmet, which is an Egyptian goddess. So it's about the archetype, it's about these universal values. And in front, you have two people, 2 women who are looking at them. So it's like an encounter, a dialogue between universal, particular, between intemporal and temporal. And art, I think, is this. Art is not just, like I said, the temporal manifestation of the atemporal, but art is also what's allow an encounter, kind of encounter of the third kind, but not with aliens, external aliens, with internal world, encounter between 2 worlds, visible and invisible, permanent, temporal, reality and opinion. This is called La Ronda because, well, La Ronda is like a round. It is a round, but it's also the name of the neighborhood where I took this photo in Quito. Quito, which is the capital city of Ecuador in Latin America, South America. When I say Latin America, I say it with the Spanish accent, no, Latin America, okay? Ecuador. Okay, and it is strange because a photography fix the movement, stop the movement. You don't have, but everything is in movement here. All this round and the dance, you can feel the dance of this tango, because it is a tango, it's obvious. You don't need to read it. You look, you hear the music, it's a tango. So photography is something also which transcends the movement and the time. And you have here this relation between time and space. It's also a kind of limitation, because we said that limitation allow more, and the field here, the space, the lens will limit, the space. You cannot see what there is outside of this stage, dancing stage. So you have to focus on what does really matters. It's like just to focus on the wisdom, to focus on the meaning. Okay, I go quickly. Oh, I like a lot this one. It's a new one, which will be presented next month. In November. In November, for the first time in the photographic festival, photo festival in Israel. It's called Vanishing into Infinity. I took this one in Munich, in Germany. We talked, the previous one was about time, fix the time. Now it's like about space, because it's different layer of space. You have the reflection, you have this form on the window, which is like the Moebius spiral, which is a symbol of like an 8, which is like the symbol of the infinity. And you have different layer of spatial reality. So you don't know what is the real. This woman on the ladder, she is in this side, she's on the other side. Is she a reflection? Where is the layer? What is the reality? And in reality, the reality is not this or this, but the real is this and this, because it is like this. The reflection is part of the reality. But what is not the reflection, this woman cleaning the windows, is also part of the reality. So it makes me think that when we ask ourselves what is real and what is not real, we have to change the O by he, and. I mean, it's not this or this, it's this and this, okay? What is real? This angle or that angle, we're both. The real news and the fake news, or this fake news or the other fake news, both are real. And the real is maybe the addition of all those angles. But the difficulties is to get all those opinions, all those angles, all those layers, and to keep them together, not to reject one of them, even if they seem to us extreme, to include everything. And it is in the whole that we can find real, if I can say it like this. Two more. This is called The Path. It's, I took this one in the city of Safed, I think you say in English, in the north of Israel, which is an Orthodox, more religious city. And, it's like a path. You see the path like this. At first glance, you see this woman who is going left, and this guy who is going right, the other way. And it seems that everyone is going his own way, different way. But in reality, they are on the same path, It's like this. The path is going like this. You see my mouse like this, then he will turn and we continue like this, and then like this, and then like this. It's just one only path in zigzag. So it means that it seems to us that we are so different, and that each one of us are taking his own direction, But in reality, no, we are just at different stage of the same path. In India, they say that there is one path, one destiny for the humanity. They call one path, one truth, one reality, one destiny, the Dharma. Okay. But each one of us has his one Svadharma. Svadharma is personal. But what does it mean? It's not another Dharma. The Svadharma is where, in which position am I located in the Dharma. And the Dharma is like the path of evolution of consciousness. So where am I on this path of evolution of consciousness? I am here, 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 here. There are different stages, but it's the same path. Now, if I am here or here, I don't have the same consciousness. I will not have the same opinions. I will not have the same understanding of life. It will seem at the first glance that we're going to two different positions. In reality, we are at two different locations of the same path. So this is an ode to unity, let's say. The difference is a kind of illusion. And in reality, there is only one path, the path of nature, the path of humanity. And this is the last one. We arrive. Sometimes we need to dare. That's the name. You understand why? Sometimes we need to dare. Sometimes we need to enter the unknown. Sometimes we need to let go our zone of comfort. Sometimes we need to know, to be able, and to dare. To know, to be able, and to dare. So to dare is to dare to control fear. And we need to control the fear to be free from the chains of the security to all price, you know. We want someone so much to be secure, to be in comfort, that nothing will happen to us, that we know exactly what will be. And arrived the COVID-19. So he liberated us, even if we didn't do this, because now nothing is sure, you know, you don't know what will happen. So somebody push you and you jumped. And don't worry, it's not so difficult, because, you know, it seems crazy. It seems that when this guy will fall, you can say, but wait a minute, this one, he's standing on a stone. Here there is a stone. He's standing on the stone. So the first glance you see this one will crush himself. No, because it's photography. And photography will put 3 dimensions in one. In reality, this guy will not, when he will fall, he will not fall here. He will fall something about here, where there is deep water. But it seems it's difficult to see the difference, the deep here. So it's about, oh, how shall I do this? So you have to take care of the appearance, how it seems. Again, to dare to trust your intuition. When I said to dare to be able to know, dare trust your intuition. Dare do what your heart know what is now right to do, and put the mind and the heart in the same line. And when the heart and the line and the heart and the mind, when the heart and the mind are on the same line, not when the line is at the same heart, but when the heart and the mind are on the same, okay, you understand? Then there is a dialogue, there is a discussion between the both, and then you will know, and this is the force, strength of intuition, you will know that you are right. Even if you have intellectual voices and doubts, and maybe yes and maybe no, it's logical, it's not logical, forget this. Those are those many voices of Mara that we talk about at the beginning. Just dare follow your path, dare follow your way. You will not fall on the stone, you will fall on the water, on the depth. And that's it, what I wanted to tell you. Right. Now I can see everybody. Now I give to Gilad time for me to take a little bit of coffee. Israeli, Turkish coffee, very, very important. More important than photography. Gilad.
Thank you very much, Pierre, for this insightful presentation. A lot of people have given a lot of very good comments on the chat, and some people had to leave already, but everybody is very grateful. So I hope you really got some good insights. I know I did. Okay. Shura, did you see some questions in the chat?
So, so far I have one question. But if anyone has any questions for Pierre or any things that they want to get some more clarifications or maybe go a little bit more into depth, now would be a good time to write your questions in the chat, and we can present them to Pierre and maybe have a little discussion about them. So Pierre, one of the questions that came up from Gaurav from India was, what, in your opinion, is the secret to the art of seeing with the philosophical perspective to photography?
The secret of the art of
Seeing.
to think.
Seeing with eyes.
The secret of the art of seeing. Don't. I would say I will go like this. At the beginning, like everything, it's difficult for us to let go. So we try to recognize. We look around us and we recognize things, and we are attracted by what we recognize, what we see. But we all of us, we begin like this. But when we do this, we stay into the frame of our unconsciousness. I mean, what we are, what we know to recognize. I mean, I know something, I recognize this, so it will talk to me. I can decide if it is interesting or not interesting. And if there is something that I don't recognize because I don't know it, sometimes it will look strange, but it will not attract me because I cannot recognize, I cannot put a name on it. I cannot establish a dialogue, a relation with it. But sometimes it is in those things that there are the most interesting things to see. So we have to let go. I think that to see, we have to let go the will to see. Cartier-Bresson said this in another way. He said that, I said it at the beginning, I think it was the first frame, don't try to look for something, don't try to look for a result, for a product. When you go out in the morning in the street, go out with the camera, I just walk. I cannot say, okay, it will be on the left or it will be on the right. Which street shall I walk? I cannot also look in the news where there will be event, because it's not about event. Art is not about event. If I was a political photographer, I will look where is some event interesting, in the street. But it can be a light coming from a windows on an individual walking on a quiet street. It can be an object and the relation between an object, the shape, and a group of people. It can be anywhere. So you have to walk and to be disponible. You have to walk. You don't know what you will find. But if you have something in mind, the thing that you have in mind will be so present, sometimes even like an obsession, that it will occult like a veil all the rest. And you will not see what are all the possibilities of life, because you are trying to look at this thing that you have in your mind and which is not in the street. I want to see one guy interesting with like this and like that, what you imagine or what you fantasize. So don't try to see nothing. Don't want anything, and let the tension capture yourself. Sometimes I'm in the street and I don't look because So I go like this, and there is something here, but I'm not looking here. I feel that there is something, but I don't know what. And I feel sometimes like this is the moment. So I take the camera and tack, I click. And after I'm looking, and sometimes I say, okay, it doesn't work. It's nothing. But sometimes I say, wow, it does not work all the time. Sometimes we have as a kachav, I don't know how to say, false alarm. But if I was doing the other way, if I was doing like this, first I look, try to recognize, to see, wow, I think it's interesting. It's already gone. There is no way I can take these pictures. So I have to cut, to let you capture by this evolve, awake this intuition of the tension, recognize the tension, not the things, the tension. There is a tension, there is a vibration, a spatial vibration, tack. And now the vibration is it, clack. And after you look. So trust not to be in control in this way. Let go. We so want to be in control of the time. We want to control our life, you know. This is something which destroys us. To be free, you have to let go. That's what I can say.
I think that answers one of the questions that several people actually had about whether when you take a picture, do you understand it intuitively at the moment, or you're looking at it later and understand it. So I think that pretty much answers this question.
It's a process. Everything is a process, and a big process. I mean, first you have a process in life. If I do this like this today, it is something that I could not do before, okay? This kind of photography evolved slowly along the, I don't know, I said I made a break 22 years at the beginning in photography, yes, but the process continued with the philosophy. I had photography, philosophy, and now the both together. So altogether, it's more than 40 years of process, okay? Internal process on camera, etc. And this kind of pictures, I can do it more and more and more the last years because it's evolution of process. But now I've shown you about 13 pictures, okay? How many pictures do you think I consider good pictures? How many pictures I have in my computer from all my work, 40 years, that I can say, okay, these pictures has something that for me it's deeper than just, you know, a selfie or just a picture. There is some art, there is some tension, there is something to say. I consider it as good pictures. No more than maximum, maybe 40. It's mean if you relate this to 40 years of work, it's one picture per year, more or less. No more than this. And 40 and large in reality, maybe 30, 35. Mm-hmm. So it's also not a race for have the results, you know. You have to take time, you have to walk. But I'm walking, and sometimes just the fact to walk on the street with the camera, that's it. That's the work. Mm-hmm. And I am not coming back with pictures every time. So you have to make this process. Now, I come from the camera, I put the photo on the computer. Okay, I leave them on the computer. I don't look at them. Why? Because I took the pictures today, or yesterday, or last week. It's too close in time. I have my subjectivity. I will not be objective. So I let them on the computer. Mm-hmm. And about 2 or 3 months after, I open them and I look at them. And usually I delete 2/3 of the pictures from this day. And I close and I let it 1 month more. And I look again. And I select 1, 2, 3 maybe. And I begin to look at them and I begin to say, okay, what does it mean? There is something to say. This is something, and etc. And the picture must be exact because I don't have Photoshop. I don't make many manipulations in the photo. I make one obvious manipulation, black and white. Okay, I take a picture in color, but I pass it in black and white. And I allow myself 3 things. I allow myself to pass from color to black and white. I make a crop of the pictures. Sometimes you take something, you make a little crop, but the crop, I try to limit it to maybe no more than 15, maximum 20% of the image. I will not take, one small piece of the photo inside a big frame. And contrast, I can change the contrast, make a little bit more, I like good contrast. So sometimes I change the contrast. That's it. More than this, I don't do. I will not take one photo montage, collage. The guy who is jumping from in the sea was there. I didn't put him there from another pictures. So it was like this. And it's every day. It's every day. It's like, the process. And from time to time, you have a fruit, a visible fruit. But the fruit is just one moment, and it is the result of a long, non-stop process. It continues. From this lecture also, I learn things, I continue and process, and then everything's changed.
Thank you. So questions are coming in, and I'm not sure we'll have time to answer all of them.
I'm sure that no.
Sorry?
I'm sure that no.
Yeah. So I apologize if we don't get to answer all of them, but I'll try and choose a few that I think are important. So for example, Dida is asking, and she is quoting Heraclitus, and who says, awake people have one reality, sleeping people have many realities. Can you say more about the levels of consciousness and creating, perceiving art?
Well, it's what I tried to say before. If you have many levels of, how do you say in English, the exact phrase of Heraclit? Say it again.
The quote is, awake people or awakened people have one reality.
Okay, so if you are awake,
have many realities.
It means that you have more expanded consciousness, expanded state of consciousness. If you are sleeping, it means that you have this ability, this tool, this possibility, this human consciousness, but it's sleep. It's just sleeping. It's like I said during the course of the lecture that everyone has the window. With the window, not the window. Window, I don't use window, I use Linux. But everyone has the wisdom, not the window, the wisdom. But not everyone uses wisdom, okay? So it's sleeping inside some of us. So if you are sleeping, if you have a sleeping consciousness, you use your opinions. And the opinions is the product of the intellect. And the intellect can have many opinions because the intellect can find logical arguments and justification to prove that this is right and the day after that the same is wrong. You can, if you don't believe me, just hear the politicians. One day they will say this, the other day they will say that. So this is in intellectual arguments. You can prove what you want. In reality, you don't prove nothing. Okay. So you can have an infinite of opinions, infinite of logic, infinite of arguments. Now, you awake your consciousness, you get out of the intellectual mind, and you reach what is called in India manas. Manas is in reality the upper mind, the spiritual mind, let's say, which is also discernment. So what is discernment? Discernment is the ability to discern. We have a young, somebody young who came with Chantal. Hi, nice. So you have discernment is the ability to discern, to separate the wrong from the right. Discernment is what can say, for real, this is not real. This is objective, this is subjective, this is truth, this is wrong. Okay, but the intellect mind cannot do this. The intellect mind is not built for this. We don't have it for this. We have the intellect so we can organize our life, for example. We can build our relations with the other one. We can build construction, intellectual construction, analysis. All this is good. And we have to use our intellect for this. But differentiation between truth and untruth, I don't know how you say in English, untruth or something like this, okay, wrong, false, I don't know what. Yes. Let's say, it's not the intellect, it's the discernment. And the discernment is a spiritual faculty, the spiritual mind. So this is what I would call the judgment and not the opinion. The opinion, you have many opinions, multiplicity of opinion, but you have one judgment. Is to recognize the one truth in the middle of the multiple opinions, different opinions. So how do you go from this to that? Process of life. Give a meaning, a philosophical meaning in your life. It's not a life. You have to work. Because it's easy to read Heraclit and everyone. It's good. I don't say it's not good. It's very good. Okay, but it's not about to know what to do. It's to do it. The difficulty is not to know what to do. The difficulty is to do it, to live it, to be it. It's like, to awake the wisdom, it's not enough to find, for example, a master that can transmit you, I don't know, his teaching or her teaching. It's not enough. It depends what you will do with this. It's more about what the disciple will do with this teaching. If the disciple does not apply the teaching, what does it worth? Nothing. And today, it's not so complex, to get the teaching. You have, I don't say that Wikipedia has the teaching, of course not. But if you, it's okay. It's not so difficult to find the right way, step by step. Find people that we can learn from them. Find people that we can choose that, okay, I want to be like these people. Look around you. You have personal examples. You look at the people around you. This, I don't want to be like this. This, I don't want to be like this. Oh, here there is somebody I would like to be like this. This person show me that he has courage, that he has value, that he is able to deal with some challenge. I don't know how to deal. Okay, personal example. So learn from this person, this challenge, how to deal with this challenge. So this person will transmit it to you, no problem. But what shall you do with this? This matters. Okay, I want more.
Pierre, do we have time for one more question?
One more.
One more, okay. Sure.
Choose the right question, what a responsibility.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility here. There is Mishika.
It seems like, it's a name of somebody.
Yes, Mishika, I think from India.
I thought you said Neshika, which means a kiss in Hebrew. Because of this, I didn't understand what you mean. Okay.
So she is asking, she refers to Suzanne Sontag, who is a critic of photography. Yeah. And she talks about how the camera exploits the reality. and how often it turns to an act of seeing into an act of just capturing and losing the essence of the moment. And she's asking, what is your opinion about that? Is it a challenge to you? And are you able to click and at the same time experience reality?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's not one absolute answer. It depends in what state of consciousness I am when I use my camera. Because I am also living, how do you say, living being, living, okay. So I'm not always at the same state of consciousness. Sometimes I identify with my personality. And when I am identifying with my personality, with my opinions, with, my energetical body, physical body is tied, and my emotional ideas, and I'm thinking about, I don't know, a lot of things. I didn't sleep today, etc., etc. So the way I will use my camera when I am in this state, identifying with my personality, with my physical body, is totally different than when I am identifying with the upper self. I don't hear my subjectivity. I am in the street. I try to have this calm like an ocean, so I see something else, I capture something else. So it depends first, where am I? I'm not always at the same state, in the same state of consciousness. And the camera depends, it's a tool. So, a tool, you can use it this way or that way. It's like the famous example, a hammer. You can build something, but you can destroy something with a hammer. It all depends not of the hammer itself, but how do you use it. So sometimes the camera will allow you to have a better understanding, a better feeling, a better consciousness of the reality. I can say that it occurs sometimes, and sometimes no. It's like a filter between myself and the reality. But when the camera is a filter between myself and the reality, at least now, I think I've learned to recognize this, and I go back home because I don't want to take photos when I am in this state. It's not interesting. So I'm trying to use the camera like something which will reveal more the reality, which will allow me to be more in contact with the reality. It's what I'm looking in the camera, the way I'm trying to use it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this really fascinating workshop.
Next time you can come everyone to Israel. We can have the other one. I think it's the same price. The same thing.
We really appreciate your time and your insights and the beautiful things that you brought to us today. And I apologize for those we were not able to answer their questions. I know we had some technical questions, so if it's okay, we can send you those questions, and if you choose to respond to them, we are happy to share.
You can send what you want. I made no commitment to answer. You can send it, it's not a problem.
And I also want to thank everyone who made it to this workshop and participated, whether it was just active listening or commenting in the chat or asking questions or even just reflecting. So everyone had their contribution, and thank you all again for coming. I would also like to invite you to join us to our open class, to the Living Philosophy course that we're going to have on Thursday, September 24 at 7 p.m. And this class is, in a sense, an introduction to a living philosophy which is what we do in New Acropolis. And just like Pierre mentioned in a few words, the ability to connect or to align our thoughts, what we feel, and how we actually act in everyday life, the ability to extract and use human wisdom that we have, that human heritage that we have from different cultures and philosophies from around the world, and live them in our everyday lives. So if you're interested, we will share a link to this open class, and you're welcome to join us. It's also on Zoom, and it's of course free, and we'll be happy to see you all. And with that, I think we can again thank everyone, and thank you, Pierre. A special thank you for coming.
And thanks to all of you to came. I know that some of you came from far away, from Canada, from India. So thank you for the effort. It was really great for me. It was a pleasure. Thanks especially to Gilad and to Shira. There are years that they wanted to invite me to Chicago. And thanks to the COVID-19 who made this possible. So see you.
See you. Thank you, Pierre.
Bye-bye.
For those who are interested in the open class, Shira is going to put the link in the chat in a few seconds. And if you have any other questions, we're going to stay here for a few more minutes just to take questions. If not, then it was nice to see you all, and have a great end of the weekend. I'm looking forward to see you again in this opportunity, in this format or others. Goodbye. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you very much.